Taurus, to your 2024 yearly reading. So what we have here are 12 cards, and each card is going to represent a month of the year 2024 for you. And so for January, you have the Hermit card. For February, you have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. For March, you have the Empress. For April, you have the Sun. For May, you have the Queen of Pentacles. And for June, you have the Three of Cups. In the latter half of the year, second half of the year, I should say, I guess, July, you have the Four of Swords. Temperance comes in reverse for August. And September, you have the Two of Pentacles. And the end of the year, October, you have the Six of Swords in reverse. And you have the Four of Wands for November. Excuse me. And you have the Six of Cups in reverse for December. All right, so let's take a look at this Taurus and see what your 2024 looks like. You start off in January with the Hermit card. And the Hermit card is a major arcana card. And it is the card where we really take a deep dive into our inner self and really shine the light on, things like our belief systems, our conditionings, our patterns. We really shine the light on, what is it in childhood and adolescence that made me the person that I am? And that's when we really take that inner journey. And some of you, it may be, you may decide this year to work with a therapist, or maybe you have before. But a lot of times when you're on this journey, this shadow work journey, this healing journey, you really, it's nice to have someone to support you. And I'm finding that, for some reason, I'm bringing this up for you in January, which, and I, in the past, I've sort of talked about the Hermit a lot, about going inwards, but I've never really talked about that other aspect of, maybe going out and looking for someone. So I'm wondering if this is coming up for me, for you, about maybe you're, almost like you're searching. Like it almost looks like, he's not only shining a light on something, but he's also searching. So, it's almost like maybe you are searching for someone to help you out in this journey. And then in February, the Knight of Pentacles comes up for you in reverse. And for me, the Knights are freedom fighters. And they're a very adolescent part of you that wants nothing to have freedom, wants freedom from people controlling you, and wants just freedom to be authentic and real and to do what you want to do. And in this particular case, this is the Knight with the Pentacle. And this Knight with the Pentacle wants freedom to, get back in their body, start to really feel. And the Pentacle is all about grounding and, getting in touch with your self-worth and things like, taking care of yourself, your health. And, it has a lot to do with your material outside world also. So in your workplace. So whatever that has to do with you, you're finding this power. You're being asked to take on this power of the Knight, or this adolescent part of you that would want to have the freedom to do what you wanted to do when it concerns your Pentacle that you're holding right here, whether it's your workplace, your health, your, grounding and getting to the heart of, what it is that sort of makes you tick right here, and your self-worth, and working on that. But that particular night is in reverse, which means, for me, when a freedom fighter is in reverse, that means for me it's repressed. It's like it's being ignored, and it's almost like it's screaming at you. It wants this freedom to get out and use the power to do what it wants to do. And so when this happens with a knight, you're going to experience that part of you that, that wants to be free. And if it's repressed, you will probably experience, there's this anger, or sometimes it can turn into, hopelessness, or, just feeling so hopeless because you're wanting to do this, and yet you're feeling like for some reason there's still something in your exterior environment that is controlling you. Now, that controlling aspect can come in so many different forms, right? Whether you're trapped sometimes in a partnership with someone at work, or someone at, you're trapped within your workplace, you feel like you can't get out, or maybe it's something to do with a partner. And so that can come in many different forms, but you'll find that there is this anger that's coming out, or sometimes this, hopelessness coming out, because you just don't see any way out. And so that's what your February looks like, where you might, feel that anger, or that hopelessness coming out. In March, it's very interesting, because if you notice, I have the Empress here, and she's also coming out, and the Queen of Pentacles is also coming out here too, which is another feminine aspect. So let's look at the Empress first. The Empress is the number 3 in the major arcana, and number 3 is all about creativity. And the Empress herself, and she represents the feminine energy, if you want. And in the major arcana, there are 2, the feminine energy, the feminine aspect, and we all have a feminine and a masculine side to us. It doesn't matter what gender you are, but our feminine side, the feminine side in the major arcana, is split into 2. You have the Empress, and then you also have the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is all about intuition. The Empress, on the other hand, is about creativity, authenticity, doing your own thing, working towards a goal, doing what you want to do, and sort of questioning, what's my purpose? What's my direction in life? And she is all about, fertility and abundance and growth and personal growth. And she's all about stillness, very much about stillness, very much about grounding, and very, very much about getting back into your body so that you can start to really get connected to who you are. Because I'm seeing that this February, because you have that Knight of Wands, that's going to bring up, some really tough emotions, I think, for you. And when we go inwards like this Hermit card in January, we're going to meet with some feelings and emotions and some stuff, from our childhood. And so this 3 is coming here, and she's coming to say, it's time to really look at the feminine aspect of you, the feminine side of you, and start to learn what it really means to get back into your body, what it means to ground yourself, and what it means to be still, with yourself. And then this card comes up, the Star card, for your 4th card here for April. And the Star card is all about trying to get in touch with this inner child of yours to find out what it is, what would bring you joy. What would bring you joy, Taurus? What would bring you joy? And, this is a tough question. When I started my journey of healing, my own shadow work journey, I was asked that, I'm sure, by my therapist at one point. Well, I know I was, and it was like, what would you like to do? What do you like to do? what would bring you joy? And it's so hard. And especially if you try to think of, what as a child, what was it that you liked to do? What were your interests? Because I think that's when we were really the authentic us, is when we were younger. So what sort of things will, this year, ask yourself, Taurus, like, what sort of things would bring me joy? And it's very important on this journey to know that, so that you can get back to that. And that is actually like a way of, people talk about the self-love stuff, and well, what does that mean to love yourself? Well, to love yourself and to get to know yourself is to do things that will bring joy to you, right? Especially for your inner child. And for May, you get the Queen of Pentacles, and here's another feminine aspect of you. And it's interesting that this has come up in the same line here. So the Queen of Pentacles is, again, like I said, this is the feminine part of you. And the Queen of Pentacles, and the pentacle itself is the body. The pentacle is the body, is the physical body. And this queen is so in love with her pentacle. She's so in love with her body. She wants to get into her body. She wants to learn how to ground. She wants to learn how to feel all her emotions and get in touch with her intuition. And in particular, this queen, because she is the pentacle queen, she's the one that says you need to get into your body. You need to, and getting into your body means grounding and journaling and getting back into feeling and finding out who you are. And so this really seems a year of, especially for the first part of the year, of finding out who you are. And this next card that we have is another 3. And you had the Empress, which is 3. And so this time you have the 3 of Cups. Again, this is, like I said, it's a creativity card. It's a working together card. I'm wondering if you're thinking about, this could be a couple things. So in June, you're thinking about, maybe I want to start something. I want to do something. I'm thinking of trying something new. And it could be just, a celebration of, it could be getting together with some friends. It could be starting something and wanting to ask someone to go to work with you, perhaps. And I also look at it as, like sometimes it could be just finding someone like a therapist or a life coach or someone that maybe you can work with and help you to, bring out your feelings and bring out what's really inside here, because you started out with this Hermit here, and sometimes it's good, like I said, to just bring out what's there. And so this card, it can also, is a celebration of, because you've been doing a bit of work, I see, in the first part of this year. It's kind of a little celebration that says, you know what, let's celebrate how far you've come. Let's celebrate how far you've come. And sometimes, a lot of times on our healing journey, we need to do that. We just stop and say, you know what, it's time to just celebrate. So here's this month where you're going to realize, you know what, I've come far on this journey. I've been doing a lot of healing. And in July, it's after that celebration, I think, or that month of, really recognizing how far you've come, where, you're going to be needing some rest. And this is the time where you decide in July to take some time out for yourself. And it's in reverse. And there are a few reasons why it could be in reverse. And that could mean, maybe there's a big resistance to taking time out to yourself. Or maybe you're not able to take time for some reason. You feel like you can't. And taking time out to ourselves is just taking time out to get really still. And sometimes it means a bit of isolation, like pulling back from things that we're involved in. Or, if you need to completely isolate yourself, then that's okay when it comes to healing. And this is what this card is. This 4 of Swords is about, taking time out and maybe to heal and just to kind of be by yourself, because these swords here represent, all our mental activity that's going on. And maybe there's a lot of mental activity, whether it's, grief sometimes, or even if you're dealing with some really tough feelings like the hopelessness or the anger that we talked about earlier. Sometimes you just need some quiet time and take that time for yourself. In August, you get the Temperance card in reverse, and this is a major arcana card. And the Temperance card upright says, here's all these emotions right here, this flowing, right? And emotions are supposed to flow in and they're supposed to flow out, and they're not supposed to get stuck on us. And this Temperance card, it's a reminder that, we need to find a middle ground here. So I'm feeling like you need to find a middle ground with your emotions, because sometimes they can really take us down depending on what you're dealing with. And one particular emotion can really do a lot. If you're thinking of something like depression, well, I mean, that is an emotion, and it can really take you down, or anger, or even grief, and if you're in sometimes shame with our self-worth. And so this card is really asking you to, what's the middle ground here? Because you're needing, it's in reverse here. So I'm wondering, what do you need to do to make this upright? What do you need to do with your emotions to make them sort of, not go take you down either way? And that's what's coming up this Temperance card for you in the month of August. Try to find some middle ground here. In September, you have the Two of Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles is, well, first of all, it's a choice. You have a choice. You have an option, a choice, a decision, a lot of options out there. This lemniscate figure here, this lemniscate number 8, this infinite says, it looks like you're juggling a lot, you're dealing with a lot. And because you're juggling a lot, you're dealing with a lot. And sometimes this card can talk about, multitasking, where we're just got so much on the go. But this particular juggler, he's on one foot here. He's very off balance. And this is kind of interesting that the Temperance card came up before this, kind of asking you for a middle ground here, because this card is very off balance, So I'm seeing that in September. It could be about you having to make a choice or a decision to make. And it can also be about, just doing too much. And how do you find that middle ground? How do you stop? How do you, make that decision to almost like to decide, okay, what am I going to do about, my emotions taking over, or my daily tasks being too much for me, or life in general just getting so overwhelming. And so this card is really, if you look in the background here, how these emotions, this person's emotions are like up and down and up and down. And it also like is making you seasick, right? Your stomach will just kind of go, oh, And so I can see that, again, it's just this juggling of your emotions or your tasks at hand or life in general that you're going to be struggling with again in September. In October, you have the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands in an upright position involves, first of all, the number 6. So let's talk about the number 6. The number 6 is duality. It talks about duality here. So with the 6, you always have like giving and receiving, or winning and losing. And in this particular card, it's talking about winning, right? Winning and losing. So let's look at what he's won. He has this wreath here. He's looks like he's won this battle. And, he thinks he's on this is the wand. So he's seems like he's going on his journey. And, But there's something that, because it's the number 6, there's another side to this. So there's, the winning part of this. But if you were to peek underneath this green blanket here, take this green blanket off this horse, and you're going to see that there's what he's lost, and you don't know what's under there, right? Because there's something that's lost here. And so you had this in reverse. And so I'm thinking, because it's in reverse here, there is something that's blocked here for you. And we've been talking a lot about your emotions, so I'm wondering if it's just a lot of times when you're dealing with what you've lost, you do tend to have to deal with grief sometimes. And we talked about emotions of flowing in and out. And so, yeah, it's in reverse. So it's like, maybe there's a resistance to, going in and feeling what it is that we've lost. And that a lot of times is related to our childhood and our adolescence. And what is it that we've lost? And what do we need to grieve, because it looks like it's blocked here. And then in November, you get the Four of Wands, right? And I can't remember if it was upward or not. So you get the Four of Wands here. And the Four of Wands is the celebration card. You have these two individuals here that have just left this walled city. And it's like they're celebrating their freedom. And 4 is a real rigid, a square number, right? So I think at the beginning where you had your knight and you wanted freedom from this control, whatever it was in your life. And here it's like you've walked away. You're walking away from what was like a rigid structure, a controlling structure, and you're celebrating. There's this celebration. Often it's called a marriage card, but I'm not going to tell you you're going to get married, that's for sure. But at all. But I'm for me it's more like of a celebration of walking away from whatever that represents to you in the background. You're getting your freedom, you're getting your power back, which is amazing. And then in December, you get the 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups, again, you're dealing with the number 6 here. So in this, the 6 of Wands dealt with the 6 of Wands dealt with the winning and the losing. This one is the card that deals with the giving and receiving. So you here have, and I know that this was in reverse, so you have 2 children here, it looks like that, are exchanging a gift, a cup. And these are our inner children, and they're in reverse here. And so this tells me that to end your year off, there is something that's saying from the tarot that you need to get yourself into a position where you are willing to receive help, maybe, or also to give, because this is inner child. So this card is asking you to get in touch with that inner child of yours. Your inner children, that inner younger part of you when you were younger that wants to be heard and wants you to listen to them. And that is the giving and receiving part of it, right? Because you, in doing that, you are going to receive so much. You give to them by listening, and then they tell you. They tell you what they need. They tell you, what brings them joy. And they tell you maybe what emotions they're holding. Our inner children hold a lot of grief. They hold some shame. They hold some fears. And they'll tell you that. And so, but you're going to have a resistance to doing that. And also the fact that it's in reverse can mean the resistance, but it also can mean that your inner children are blocked right now because they need to be listened to. and they're not. And I think that's why. It's interesting that this ended with this, because there has been a lot of call for you on your first layer here to start to really ground and get back into your body, and to start, to listen to your inner children. Your first card, very, very interesting, said, let's go inwards. Let's go inwards and, and see what's going on. And that's like, to me, that's like the shadow work card right there. And then your last card is saying, yeah, it's time to get in touch with your inner children, because they have something to tell you. So this is it. This has been an awesome reading, Taurus, and I wish you the best 2024, and we'll talk soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.